having two small kids under the age of 2.
Yeah, 2 young kids with 2 young kids.
It was one of the hardest seasons of my entire life.
It's the most fun I never want to have again.
We're not perfect people.
By any means.
But by trusting in God, we learned what it takes to build a friendship,
A relationship.
and marriage that has stood the test of time.
With a keeping it real style, we're going to talk to you about everything.
Everything
That we've been through.
are going through.
And have overcome. All by learning how to lean on God and each other.
In order to help you learn how to love by faith.
Good morning, Selina.
Good morning.
Love by Faith podcast. Spring cleaning. Wish spring would get here, man. It's so cold again still. It just keeps on being cold.
It just makes me want to stay in my bed until it comes out.
The groundhog?
I must have been a groundhog at some point. Like,
that's funny.
When Jesus was creating me in my mother's womb, he probably was like, she should probably be a groundhog. No. I'm going to make her human.
Like on the video games where you're scrolling through all the characters?
Yeah.
Groundhog.
Yeah. He kept going back to the groundhog and was like,
No, it's Selina.
She would be a good one, though. She would really make a good groundhog.
Creation roulette in heaven.
Man.
It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
What? So I'm going to ask you just a go a different direction here.
Yeah.
What do you miss the most from having babies? Like literally having a baby in your house?
The smell of a baby.
Dang it, you took my answer. You did.
And then there's some people who try to bottle that smell.
Oh yeah.
Like they have like the candle wax scent and it's supposed to be like new baby scent. No, you can never
No, their skin just has I don't know if it's like the smell of innocence or what, but it just
the smell of innocence.
I miss my baby smelling so fresh.
It's like their breath smells good. Their body smells good. You just want to
it's just so uncorrupted. It's just little.
I'll never forget. It was
pure
like
baby.
Usually after the first year, like once they have their first year, and then that you get that first whiff of like morning breath
They start
from your
eating
baby,
solid food, yeah.
And you're like, dang it, the baby smell's gone.
Oh man, yeah,
yeah.
That first big gas, and then it's just like, oh no.
Now we got a human.
Now we have a kid.
Used to be a baby, now it's just a kid, right?
That's funny. What's up, everybody? We are in the spring cleaning series.
We're in the last week of spring cleaning.
Let's go.
We didn't do any spring cleaning in our house, but we cleaned out our podcast notebook.
Spring
that's for
clean.
sure.
The house looks great.
It's all right. We got to clean it though, bro.
You're hard on yourself with that.
Got to deep clean these edges.
We're glad you're here. As you heard in our icebreaker, we're talking about kids today.
The last part of our book that we needed to clean out had to do with a little bit of parenting. Okay. But not specifically us with kids and sharing our testimony of being parents. It was more so specific to having two small kids under the age of 2.
202. Oh yeah, in our notebook it was like
2 young kids with 2 young kids.
Yeah, 2 young kids with 2 young kids. That's a good one.
Yes.
It's catchy.
Because there are a lot of people out there who decide to have children close in age. We think they say it's a good idea. They say to do it that way. They say,
whoever they are,
have kids close in age. They'll be best friends, they said. You'll get through all the diapers in one large sum and then you're done, they said.
I agree with that part. We did that.
They didn't tell us how hard it was going to be, though. How crazy. It was one of the hardest seasons of my entire life was to have 2 babies under the age of 2.
My line about it is always, it's the most fun I never want to have again.
Yes.
That season. I don't think there was 7 nights in a row of good sleep for
a very
4 to 6 years.
There wasn't consistency at all for the first 4 to 6 years. There was no rhythm. There was no natural up and down. It was just chaos.
Like chaos gardening, it was chaos parenting.
Not to be like, hey guys, don't ever do this. And you're hearing our testimony. You're like, oh snap, we're gonna push our family plan back. Don't like, okay, let's like reset this. Let's talk about the good. Let's talk about the bad. Let's get into some ugly.
Okay. Well, let's start with the good. What was the fun parts of having 2 young kids under 2 and us being young parents?
Well, we have to set the stage. Okay. So to be 2 young parents, we were inexperienced. We were just newlywed. You know, we were like 3-4 years into our marriage. So we were still figuring marriage out. We were not rich. We were still, trying to get out of debt and trying to build our home and trying to establish our family. We were still very much in the foundation setting roots of our family.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you have the 2 small kids. It's crazy because when you become a parent, you are told and you see from just media and just all of the propaganda that they throw at you when you're a new parent that you have to have all of these things, right?
You're talking about like items?
Just items and just regimens and
routines.
All these things. You just have to have everything. Like
so you're talking about all the different like parental wisdom, how to be a parent?
Yeah, just like so the minute you make your appointment at the doctor's, they start sending you stuff in the mail. Like they know that you're pregnant, so you're getting all this stuff in the mail, and you have to have all these appliances, and you have to have baby warmers, and you have to have this carrier, and you have to have this toy, and science and studies show that this is the best way to grow and develop your child, and you have to have this onesie, and you have to have this sleeper, and you have to have this crib and this mattress, and you have to make sure you have all these things. And it could get very overwhelming to a new parent who's like, I could have sworn when I was a baby in the 80s, my parents didn't have all this stuff and I turned out okay.
Right.
And so you're always met with this, it's just, you're always met with this expectation of like, you want to give the best. You want to be prepared to offer the best for your children. And whatever that best looks like in your head, a lot of times you're either not financially there, or you're not mentally there, or you don't have the time or an energy to be present physically there. And it just becomes a really big tornado of things even before the baby even gets there.
Do you think most of that pressure that you felt was, you described it as external, but do you think it was more internal, that you had this drive that you wanted to provide this amazing environment?
Totally both.
Both? 50-50 or like more?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know that answer.
Okay.
It was definitely both, though.
Yeah.
Because like when we first had William, we didn't have a whole lot. The toys that we provided for him were the toys that we received at the baby shower. That was pretty much it. Like we didn't have cable. We didn't even have AC. We didn't have a big floor cushiony place. I just had like one little mat and a playpen and a few little stuffed animal toys. Like he wasn't like over the top with things.
Yeah, we weren't inundated with things when we had our first. One of the things I think my side of it would be is, you said we waited a few years. We waited like 3 years after being married to have our first son. And you thought that was newlywed still. And I thought that 3 years was huge for us to establish who we were, establish how our marriage flow, and to know and understand each other better. I thought that waiting 3 years was a good move.
It was good timing for us because we got to the point in our marriage where we were talking about children almost on a daily basis. Oh, we have kids. Oh, once we have kids.
We were able to set a vision.
Yeah.
For what life with kids was going to look like.
We knew we were ready to enter into that season of, okay, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Yeah.
So you asked me earlier, like, what was the good part, right?
Yeah.
So I talked about like setting the stage. I talked about, where we were as a newlywed or 3 years in. We talked about having that first child, having a little bit of stuff. But then once we decided we were going to have our second child, they're 18 months apart.
Yeah.
Okay. So on William's first birthday, that was when we revealed that we were already 3-4 months pregnant with our second son.
Right.
And so one of the things that I liked about that was now our second son gets to get all of the toys, and like we already have all the stock, and so it was an easy thing to just like, now they can share all this stuff. Now I felt a little more comfortable because I felt a little bit more prepared because we went through all of the things the year before and we have everything that we need, going to the hospital, like we know what to do.
Did that routine,
we know what to expect, even though these children are complete opposites, and the pregnancies were a little different, but we kind of went in there knowing like, okay, we already did this. We're going to just rinse and repeat the process. And it was a little less stressful.
Do you feel like the rinse and repeat really held true? Because I'm thinking through this, and when we had William, it was challenging because it was new. You'd never done it. We had never had a newborn in our house. We had to learn all these things. And then Solomon comes, and he's literally a different person, but he's got such a different personality right from jump, right from newborn. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, it helped balance it out because of how different he was. I was able to feel like, oh wow, this is going to be a great new personality to blend into this and to mold our family more as we were having it. But as a young father with two small boys, I was it changed my work ethic.
Okay.
It changed my drive. It changed my life ethic. Having two changed it so much more than having one. Because at two, I was like, two kids, young man, I was like, I got to do so much more to provide for these guys.
Yeah.
I got to do so much more to make a way for these guys. I don't know if one felt comfortable and two was like pushing.
Okay.
But that as a young man, it changed how I saw myself. It changed how I saw my future. It changed it changed my drive. That's the only way to say it, is it changed what I wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest win.
Wow.
Of having that second kid. And it's only in this reflecting, thinking about how it's going to, and looking back, it's a looking back thing. Like in the moment, it felt natural. Like, all right, I got to do more. I got to go more.
Yeah.
And now I have two people looking up to me, three people looking up to me with you.
Yeah.
And it made me a better man by far.
Awesome. You are a better man because of being a father.
Thanks.
You're a good father.
It felt like a calling. But then once you're there, once you cross into that promised land.
Oh man.
The work didn't end.
No.
Right? Like our relationship grew so much in those, years with two kids under two. And learning how to talk to each other, learning how to connect in a short time.
Yes.
Learning how to reconnect after a stressful day.
Yes.
Learning how to reset, just shut it down, just say, hey, we're exhausted, we're going to sleep, we'll talk about this tomorrow.
Yes.
I'll take care of that while you take care of this.
Yeah.
And we'll be done.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah. They always say it's harder to go from 1 to 2 than to have one, or to go into multiples, go into threes. Like that transition from one child to two children is like the hardest transition, because you get used to sacrificing time and planning around one child. You could take your one child anywhere. You know what I mean? You can go anywhere you want, take, with the car seat or with the one stroller, with the one diaper bag. But once you kick it up a notch to 2, and you have double the things to carry, and you have double the children to look over, it just becomes so much more of a challenge. And like you were saying, divide and conquer. Like now, if one baby was napping, the other one was up. If one baby needed fed, the other one needed to do something completely different. Like we had
alternating schedules.
We had no breaks.
Right. We thought we'd be able to sync them.
I definitely synced them once after a season or so. I was like, no, we need to definitely sync them. That was like saving grace, was I had to sync the kids.
So you were able to get their schedules synced up.
Absolutely. I was able to get them synced.
Wow.
Yeah, I needed to. But one of the hard parts was William was still a baby.
Right.
He was still a baby. He was still only 1.5, and so Now you have to pour all of your time and attention into a newborn who requires total dependency on you.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, I wouldn't say mom guilt, but it was almost like, I want to spend time with my son, but I also need to spend time with my other son. And you're just constantly being pulled back and forth. And you're never going to feel like it's enough. Yeah. I never felt like it was enough time or enough like presence to just say I was able to equally give them all of me, because then I didn't have all of, I'm going through postpartum, and we're going through, the feeding schedule and the sleep schedule and all of those things. And so we were just so drained. And then you have to pour so much into these small little children who are just depending on you. And it was really rough. Hey everyone, we hope that you're enjoying this episode. And right now we want to just take a small minute to introduce to you the latest thing that we created to help you elevate your relationship and take it to the next level. It's called the Love by Faith Playbook.
Every good coach knows they have to have winning plays. We went through our foundation series and we pulled out some of the best winning plays and created strategies for you guys. Plays like how to be better financially, how to do ministry together, how to be better romantically, how to be better family life. We went through all these different areas from the foundation series and put it together in a playbook.
So grab your Love by Faith playbook today. You can use the link in the description below, enter it. And the good news about this is that it is a living document. So you download it one time, and every single month, we're going to be updating this document to give you fresh new plays to help you and your partner love by faith and create a winning season. Go ahead and get your Love by Faith playbook now. And let's get back into this episode.
And I see when we got to that season where they were synced.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm remembering this, like reflecting on it. Now that I'm reflecting on it, once they were synced, we were able to get into this awesome. I remember the giant stroller walks.
Bertha.
We had the giant double stroller.
Big Bertha.
And taking the kids to the park and letting them run and letting them just be kids, letting them get dirty, letting them play in the backyard in the little water table and splash stuff.
Yeah.
And all that just beauty that came out of that.
Yeah.
And able to really, as that shifted from 2 young kids under 2 to 2 experienced parents.
Yeah.
With kids who were 2,
mm-hmm.
was just such a growth, man.
Mm-hmm.
I just, when you're going through it, you don't see it. But
mm-hmm.
looking back and reflecting on it, it's like, wow, that really solidified things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so that's my encouragement for young parents is it is going to feel fulfilling at some point. While it's hard and the grind is happening, that does feel fulfilling.
Just to see the bond. Because the bond of the 2 siblings being so close together.
Yeah.
You used to say Solomon will never remember life without William.
It's true.
Because William was always there.
And pretty much
and
William
same
too.
thing, because he was so young. Like they always remember each other. And so there's such a unique bond when you choose to have children in that close an age that, at some point when you're planning your family, one of the things that come to mind is, oh, if we have a child now, then they'll play together.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of selfish.
Well, they have someone to entertain them.
They got someone, like it won't be us anymore. Like they can go play with themselves. Like it's kind of a little selfish thing, but it's true.
Yeah.
And they do. And it's so beautiful to see because they get into crazy. Like the one kid would never jump into the mud puddle by themselves and like pretend that they're, whatever, if it not been for the other one, like influencing and like coming up with that imagination and just going out and doing that thing together. It's very beautiful to see. And that, to me, that's kind of like the reminder of like, this is why God wanted us to do this. I want to be very clear with you guys. When we were family planning, and it was we had a choice. It was between buying a new house or having another child. Like literally, that was our plan. We were in this setting, and we decided to go on a fast. I think it was a whole month where we fasted and we prayed. And I think it was the Daniel fast in January.
That sounds right.
We were like, okay, we're at this road. We're in a really good place. We have one child where our marriage is good. We're working towards our debt-free freedom. And so like, what do we do now, God? Do we buy a new house, or do we buy a new house to make space for the new person? Because we knew we were going to have more kids. Or do we have the new child now?
In this space. Yep.
And God really revealed to both of us in that fast, in our own individual time, like, you're going to have a child.
Bring the kid.
And so thank the Lord, because this was all God's plan. Like, the family planning in that season was very smooth. We had no complications getting pregnant. We had no complications during the pregnancy. We had no complications with delivery, minus like my hips going crazy.
That was a complication.
Definitely a complication.
Yeah, that last month you were out of it, bro.
I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
I literally couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And to this day, my hips are, kind of bad. But
need lots of attention.
The baby
right.
was very healthy, very sound.
Yeah.
And God really pulled that miracle through.
Amen.
And we had that, we had that thing. And we do believe that it was God's ordinance to bring Solomon in the season that he did.
Absolutely.
And who knows why he chose to do that, because that was the beginning of the hard seasons for us. Have you guys ever heard of our hard season series?
Yes.
And so maybe God brought Solomon to help us, go through those hard times, and to help William get through those hard times, because he was honestly like that beautiful silver lining of like, this is a beautiful baby, and their brothers, and the beautiful bond of the brothers that we see. Like, it was literally the highlight of, all of the things.
Yeah. So I go back to what you were saying about they'll never forget each other.
Yes.
They'll always remember having each other in their life.
Yes.
Part of my story is I grew up as an only child.
Okay.
So I was 12 when my brother was born. And so I had nobody. I had my cousins to play with every once in a while, weekends here and there. I had kids on the street.
Yeah.
But my home life, I was just playing by myself, doing my own things. And that was something that drove me to say, we got to be able to do, I don't want to say better, but there's got to be a way to do this. Like, it made me feel like I got to do this for my kids so they don't have to go through what I went through.
Yeah. And
I don't know if that's always the right way to look at things, but it was what I wanted. It was my vision for my family, was to have multiple children.
Honestly, that same exact mindset is what made me want to have a third child. Because I grew up with my older brother, and my older brother and I, we're probably like 19 months apart.
Okay.
So we're very close.
Yeah.
We're very close. But he was a boy, I was a girl. We were growing up like that. And he used to pick on me all the time.
Poor girl.
Anytime he was bored, he would just come and just pick on me. He would mess with me. And he's a very tall person. He's very tall. So he was just shooting up, and I'm just this little squeeb girl who's playing with Barbies, right?
Yeah.
And he just always picked on me. And so my experience was, we need to have 3, because if there's only 2, at some point they're going to get bored with each other, and then playing turns into, I'm bored, I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we need to have 3 to even out the playing. And so that's why I was so like ready to have a third child when we got into this new house, because I was like, we need to even the playing field.
It's a triangle offense. There's always someone to pass the ball to.
Absolutely. And you see it now. Like, yes, Jubilee is a girl, and she's, 5 years younger than our oldest, 3 years younger than our second. But still, when you see that the boys are tired of playing with each other, they'll go to her. And when she's tired of playing with them, they'll all play by themselves at some point.
Yeah.
But then when Jubilee's tired of playing with one brother, she'll go to the other brother. And then because he was left out of the playing, now he's ready.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful dynamic. It's balanced. And so advice for parents for having 2 kids under 2 or in close in age.
Okay.
What would you say?
I'm going to just talk to the men here.
Okay.
Because it gets so, I feel like as the man, we had to stay at home wife. Thankfully, we had the job where it was able to make that a possibility. For me, I felt very isolated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so having friends that I was able to talk to regularly, outside of, Selina.
Yes.
That I could just chat, not like serious, not deep Christian philosophical theology discussions,
You're
but
not in that season.
But just someone to talk about the baseball and football and those kind of things. And just to someone to, you can unwind with your wife, but having your bro or someone to go fishing, would love to go fishing, to go on a camping trip with, to just be able to really keep your own self square, keep your own personality square and nurtured was a huge win. I know we're talking about being parents, but at the same time, you're still a person. You still have personality. And I think another one was giving you time to just be yourself, to be like, hey, I got the kids. Don't worry about them. Don't think about them. Don't look back. Just go away.
Yes.
And giving you that space.
Yes, that's essential.
I remember doing the mom weekends where you chose to work, but like I would take off a couple days. I would take off a couple days, like a Thursday, Friday.
Mom weeks, yeah.
And you would just go do whatever you wanted. And I was on duty. It was like a work vacation for her because she didn't have to mom as hard as usual.
Yeah.
And we'd flop. That was another huge win, is where I would stay home and wake up and do the kid thing. And you would be able to go to your office and do your writing. Mm-hmm. And you wrote books when you had newborns, bro. You literally published books when you had newborns. I don't know how
that happened. Yeah.
I take a lot of credit for that. I'm just kidding.
You should, because had it not been for you helping with the kids, it was a lot. Being a mom, whether you got twins or whether you did it the way we did it, it pays such a toll on women, because I was still going through postpartum of having William when I entered into a pregnancy, when I entered into another postpartum season. Yeah. And so my body was completely out of whack. My hormones were completely out of whack. I didn't know myself at all. It was a very lost season. So that's why I said, like, for me to, I think that's why I was pouring so much into writing books. And that's why I was like so fixated on, like, I have to have this ministry. I have to have this business going, because I felt like that was the only piece of myself left that I had.
It was your way of taking care of your spirit, your soul.
It was my way of just doing something for me, because when you become a mom and your kids are that small, they constantly need you. You're constantly overtouched. You're constantly picking up messes. You're constantly in a mess. Like, you can't even take care of yourself. I've met so many moms where, just the thought of putting on makeup is a challenge. And it got to the point when I was, when I had Solomon, where I was like, I'm going to put on makeup every single day, not because I'm going anywhere, because I need this, not because I need to put on makeup to look good, but I needed to do something to take care of myself. Yeah. And the postpartum was so real. And the time, which is, you're just submerged into children and babies and making food and burping and potty training. And it was so just, is this all my life is? Like, is this all that it is? And then you go out, and then there was like a public anxiety of, like, you go out in public and then you have 2 kids and you have Big Bertha and you have all these things, and you're like, one is running away, the other one is calm, and you're trying to battle it, and it's just like, is it easier to stay home? I don't know. So yes, how you were saying, you do start to get really isolated. Yeah. And you do start to feel like you're struggling a lot and you're sinking. And so putting things in place, whether you have help or if you're just all alone and you're your own island, you reach out to the friends, you reach out to something that is on, now that
community, bro.
Yeah, it's the community. And honestly, in that season was when I started the mini morning show. Yeah. Yeah. I started the mini morning show in that season because I was like, I need something. I need to do something. And for those of you guys who don't know what the mini morning show is, it was my daily 2 minutes of going live on social media and just sharing whatever came to my mind when I woke up at the first thing in the morning. Yeah. And I did that consistently until Jubilee was born. I did that for 3 years.
Really?
I did that until Jubilee was born.
Oh my God. It didn't feel like that long when it happened, but you did do that a lot.
I did the mini morning show. Yeah.
That'd be good.
But it was because of that. women need an escape. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to tell your friends, like, I am going through some depression. I'm very angry. I'm starting to grow bitter towards my kids because they won't leave me alone. It is okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be honest. It's okay to say, hey, I'm not taking care of myself, and that's a problem. And I need to figure out what one thing I can do each day to help me remedy that. In my case, it was putting on lipstick and BB cream.
One of the things I think you take for granted too is your journaling.
I journaled a lot
and
in
how
that
much
season.
that is helpful for you. Journaling's not for everybody, but for you, that was a great way that you kept your self whole and you kept yourself in line. For me, I turned to exercise and just stayed in the gym, stayed in the routine of taking care of myself, and it helped me to stay stabilized when all of it was hard, even on bad sleep and even on stressful nights, stressful days. Keeping that routine of that was helpful.
An encouragement to both parents is it's going to feel like it's never going to end. It's going to feel like there's always something.
Yeah.
It's one thing after another. One kid has a diaper, the other one is throwing up, and you're just never going to get to a place where they're just comfortably okay.
Right.
You will. It's going to take a lot longer than what you expected. I think the season where I finally felt like, okay, we're okay, honestly, was probably like last year when Solomon was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
When you get past the 5-year mark for both of those children, it doesn't matter if there's more down the line. If you can get past the 2 transition, because remember, that transition is always the hardest. If you can get the first 2 past that 5-year mark,
right,
it starts to settle. I'm not going to say it's completely calm.
I'm not going to say it's easy. That's for sure.
It's not easy. Like, you're always, bigger kids, bigger problems.
Right.
But you get into this place where you're confident and you know that, okay, things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Things are going to be okay. Why do I say that it doesn't matter if more kids come down the way? Because they're just getting thrown into the chaos. You're already in a chaotic state. And so just adding 1 more or 2 more or 3 more or however many more you choose to have, literally is just like, well, we've already done this. We already know that we already know our balance and our stretches and our limits. And what's 1 more?
What's 1 more?
What's 1 more? It's like you're already on the freeway, and just adding more kids is just merging into the freeway that's constantly already going. So it's like,
right.
Whatever, just bring them in. Jubilee just rolled in, and she's so tough because she had the 2 to take care of her, and they worked together, like I said. And so there will be a time when the energy just starts to work itself out. But in those beginning years, it takes a lot of effort from you guys. It takes a lot of prayer.
So much prayer.
A lot of just surrender. A lot of surrender to just say, hey, my expectations are out the window. It is what it is. I'm just going to survive. If I just drink my bottle of water and eat something, that's a win for me. If I can get a nap in, that's a win for me. If I can clean 1 portion of my house, that's a win for me.
Yeah.
If I can have a movie night with my husband, that's a win for me. Like, you have to really reduce your expectations unless you have a whole village helping you and having, time where they can tag you out. We did not. And so it was just the small wins that you have to just accept and surrender everything else and know that it is a season and the days are long, but the years fly by.
It's true, man.
It's
so true. I can't believe that our youngest is 4 now, and we have ministry and friendship and love, and
we've come a long way.
A village around us, and if you look back when we had William and told me that this was going to be the situation, I would have been, I would have been terrified to have 3 kids.
3. Oh, yeah.
If this was, if you tell me all the things that happened to get to here, but I would never change it. It's
God
so
sustained.
good.
God provided.
Yes, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And keeping the faith was essential.
Why don't we wrap that up right here. There's so much more, obviously, we could talk about when it comes to parenting and babies and kids and all of those things. So if you have any more questions or if you're wondering about anything, like feel free to reach out to us on social media or on our YouTube in the comments, or just anywhere. You can shoot us a text if you're listening to the podcast in one of those platforms. And we would love to just get back to you and maybe make another episode specifically to address your questions and your needs. So for now, why don't we go ahead and pray for these parents?
Yes.
And wrap up this spring cleaning series.
If I just feel like the encouragement is that if parenting is part of your journey, parenting will be part of your journey forever. And I just am so glad that you're here with us to go through it together, to share stories, and to not just live by faith, but to love your family by faith.
Amen.
And I'm just glad to be here. Lord, we are grateful that you have opened this door for this ministry, for discussions about family, about raising kids, about being kids with kids who have no idea what to do and trying to figure it all out. And I pray for other parents listening that they would be encouraged, that they would be strengthened, Lord, that you would help them to see that the fruit is on the other side of this season, that the seeds will grow, the seeds that they're planting in their children will grow and flourish. And I pray for harmony in these homes, Lord. I pray for balance around these children's lives. I pray for good experiences. I pray, Lord, that the husbands would love the wives and the wives would respect the husbands in these hard seasons, and that it would be a picture of what you've called us to. We give you the glory for all of it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Please be sure to write a review. Give us a 5-star tap if you're listening. And if you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe.
Ding, ding, ding.
We hope to see you guys again next week for a whole new series. Don't forget to love by faith, y'all. Have a good week.
Love by faith. Welcome to the mini morning show.
Dude, I made mugs and everything for that. Welcome to the mini morning show.
I can't believe it was 3 years. It didn't feel like it was that long.
In April. It was like this year. Yeah. And the reason why I stopped was because I had 3 kids. I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
I couldn't produce it. And every time I tried, even for 2 minutes, somebody would get into the camera.
Yeah.
And it started to get to the point where I didn't want to expose my children.
Okay.
And so because I wanted to keep that part of my life private, I couldn't do the mini morning show in the morning. It started to be afternoon, and I'm just like, it's not worth it.
You weren't getting it out. Yeah.
It's not worth it. And honestly, that's why I don't do a lot of stories and content today. Because I don't want to put my kids out there like that. You know, I want them to be able to have a choice to expose themselves.
Yeah.
And because, you know, with online, it's you got to be so safe with it. So I don't want to make my content just about my children, just so people could see my kids.
Right.
Like if you're coming to me, you're going to see me, not them.
Right. Man, what a season. What a season. You know what else though? Mm-hmm. I gotta go.
That's what else?
That's what else. It's time.
Okay.
We've reached that point of the week.
Okay. Where you gotta go.
I do my best.
You do your best. You do what you gotta do.
I show up. I give my all, 110%.
Thank you, Kyle.
And when the buzzer dings...
Thank you for your contribution to this podcast.
I go.
Thank you. Your presence has been blessed by us. Thank you. We appreciate you. Go. Bye. I finally released you. I finally said, I'm not going to fight it, and you're still here.
You said.
I guess this is the key, is to just reverse it all on you. Bye. So long. Don't forget your coffee. Mega ultra sized coffee.